At T-Mobile, our critical mission is providing unparalleled 5G coverage for when connectivity is mission critical. Introducing T-Priority, America's best 5G network experience for first responders, even in times of congestion. More capacity, faster speeds, better coverage. T-Priority from T-Mobile, built for tomorrow's emergencies, ready today. Discover more at t-priority.com.
For qualifying organizations on eligible rate plans, coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast is now on YouTube. Go on YouTube and search Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast and click that subscribe button to never miss an episode. Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic episode of the Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast. I am one of your hosts this week, Wrestling Chris G. And on the other line with me today is the fastest slowpoke in the world. It's good old Dougie Fresh. Dougie, my man, how you doing?
I'm fine. How you doing?
I'm better. So what we mean by that, everybody, is we kind of took a week off. Well, we had no choice because everything was playing against us. But I'm getting over the flu, and we tried to record last week, and I'm coughing during the introduction. I'm freaking like the internet didn't want to play ball at all for either one of us. It was just awful, but we're back. Yeah. We're back this week, Doug.
Thought we were gonna have an issue getting this running because I randomly just got kicked out. Come to find out, I probably had to push like the final bit of an update or something. So, and I think we're all right.
I think we're good. I mean, let's throw it out there. I mean, at least Skype is still a company, because for the longest time I thought we were just using the app and that they were just out there in cyberspace somewhere. But they've updated, and that's how we record our podcast, Doug.
Right. I mean, we could go other avenues, but
it's worked the best for us.
This has worked for us, and
if you don't fix what's not broken.
Well, right, but by all means, if something is broken, don't be afraid to fix it.
For real. So, but so peek behind the curtain. We're doing a 2-day phenomenon. We're going over 4 episodes in 2 days, so we kind of stay on our schedule, because good old me kind of put us on a little schedule that is going to help us be a little bit flexible this holiday season that is coming up, Doug.
Well, I mean, honestly, if we get tonight in, I mean, it doesn't have to be 2 night. If you wake up tomorrow, you can't move.
That's true.
Because honestly, the only reason we're doing this is so we don't lose anything. Because if we were to completely, like if we would have done, say, tomorrow and Wednesday, we would technically be behind and we would be playing catch up. But right now, we're still in a space where we're still good because our normal record day is on Tuesday and we're doing this on Monday.
Yep.
So we're still playing with the wraparound, but
November 1st.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I know 2021 is almost over, Doug.
Yeah, it can.
You're not a fan of this year.
It's just, it's whatever. I mean, I just feel like the last 2 years have kind of glommed together. Between, opening back up and then kind of shutting back down, it's just kind of been some weird shit.
Yeah, but I think we're finally over that weird hump. I'm gonna say
until these people go on these cruise ships and bring back a whole nother goddamn variant.
But even so, I think we're far enough advanced now with this whole COVID stuff that even if another variant comes over, I don't see us um, breaking down and having nobody on the roads and everybody staying at home and stuff again. So
Well, yeah, I think at this point, whether they need to or not, I think people are just going to say, fuck you. We listened to you kind of once. You get one go.
kind of, sort of listen to you. But
But yeah, I mean, they're rolling out the boosters. They've got clearance for
the youngins,
children. Yep.
yes.
So,
And we're by no means pushing the vaccine on anybody. It's,
I am. Get the fucking shot.
if you want to get the shot,
No, get the fucking shot.
Stop it.
No. I'm not being funny. Get the shot at this point.
So, but yes, it's everyone's personal preference. And obviously, Doug, we've spoken on it a few
Wouldn't it be
times.
some shit if I was pushing it and I haven't gotten the shot?
I know, right? Why are you pushing it on everybody? You haven't even gotten the first shot. But
No, but if everybody else gets a shot and I sit there and push it, then I don't have to.
So, but yeah, everybody. Like I said, normally we don't really go into it, but it's everyone's personal preference. I am vaccinated. My whole family's vaccinated, besides my children, and soon my children will be, since my children are going to school, and it's easier to say that they have it and less of a headache on our end. But
Yeah.
if you don't believe in it, don't get it, everybody. I mean, it's personal preference. So, but other than that, Doug, you hear my voice. My voice is still going in and out just a little bit. But freaking flu. I mean, they told me my cough will be here for about another like 2-3 weeks outside of
Jesus
having it. Yeah, I know. Ain't that a sumbitch? But yeah. So today's episode is episode 68 in the Kanto region, called The Evolution Solution, starring good old Slowpoke. And this was translated from Japan, When Yanda Becomes Yadoran.
Mm-hmm.
So they basically told you in the title, when Slowpoke becomes Slowbro. But how will he become Slowbro? So this is, yes, everybody, this is a filler episode, if you couldn't even guess it by the name. And we're still on that hump right now where everything is kind of filler until we get all the way down to we still got all the way up until episode 76, because 76 is when Ash is finally getting ready for the Pokemon League.
Jesus.
I know. So we still got quite a bit of filler, everybody. We hope you stick with us all the way up until then. But if you fall off until we get to the damn Pokemon League, you guys better come back strong with those numbers, listening to all those episodes.
No, fuck them. If they fall off, fuck them.
So, all right, everybody. Today's episode premiered in Japan October 15th, 1998, and here in the States, October 2nd, 1999. And I believe, because it's the same for this week and next week, everybody, and it's pretty funny. I want to stop because I'm looking at the dates here for the release dates of these episodes. So this one was on October 2nd, and so is next week. But then 2 days later, you get the next episode. And then 4 days later, you get the next one. Then 1 day later, you get the next one. And then 2 days later, they were pumping these filler episodes out. They did not want the 1 week stretch, Doug, for these episodes at all.
That is pretty strange.
Because it's funny, they were pumping these episodes out. So here, I'm gonna pull up a calendar real quick on the good old laptop and find out. Because I'm fairly curious now. Let's see. Bum bum bum. Bum 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 bum. All right, keep going. Keep going. Go 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 go. Why won't it let me? My computer will not let me go back. Okay, I will use my good old celly phone. Okay, so with us looking at this, so we're going back to 1999, right? All right, so 1999, and we're looking at October 2nd. Okay, so this is what happened, Doug, with these dates. So the episode this week and next week happened on a Saturday, and then the next new episode happened on a Monday, and then the next episode happened on a Friday, then another new episode that Saturday, and then another episode that following Monday, and then another episode that Thursday. So they had no planning with this at all. And then another episode that Saturday. And then after that, we're back to the 1 week stretches of these episodes. And you won't believe when these episodes were starting back up on the weekly basis, Doug. Back
when
in the
did
Pokemon
they start back up?
Right when they hit the Pokemon.
Jesus.
So, yes, I think it's funny. I just caught eye of this. So, man, my phone is blowing up. Like freaking crazy. Freaking Facebook is a sumbitch. I'm a part of this this game called Pikmin Bloom just came out for Android and iOS. And it's taking off. And I joined a worldwide group of people that's talking about it. And I just posted how I've been going ham on the game. And people are in the group going, man, how did you get to such a high level already? It's called not having a life. I'm joking, everybody. I'm joking. No, I've just been grinding. It's a very similar.
There's a little bit of truth to that. Don't lie to the people.
I'm not cheating. You can't cheat.
I didn't say you were cheating. You said something about not having a life, and I thought, well, at the moment.
So, yes, I'm kind of at home, just a little bit.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, no, the game's really awesome. It's a little cute game. People that grew up on the game Pikmin for the Nintendo GameCube and then the DS and now on the Nintendo Switch can now enjoy Pikmin on their cell phone. So, and they've made it pretty handy. It has the same map layout as Pokemon Go, and it's made by the same people that made Pokemon Go. So that helps in itself as well. So now I got two games to keep me addicted to my celly phone on a daily basis.
You need to go back to work.
I know. I
mean, yeah.
So yeah. But outside of that, we're getting ready to go over these dates. But I want to let everybody know at the end of this episode and on the end of next week's episode, I am opening 2 Pokemon packs. And you're like, why are you opening 2? Because as of right now, it's November 1st. There is a new celebration packs that are opening, and these packs only have 4 cards in them a piece. So I'm going to open up 2 of them this week and 2 of them next week. I can't speak any further for the following weeks. I mean, I do have some more upstairs, but I don't know if I'm going to do them on the podcast. Let us know in the message. But other than that, that's what I'm doing. So I'm on that Charizard hunt, everybody. Will I get it? Well, I'm on the Charizard, Blastoise, and Venusaur hunt. So we will see what I get. All right, Doug. October 2nd. Am I going first or am I going second this week? My date this week is 1895.
Yeah, you're going first this week. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So in 1895, October 2nd, was the premiere of the very first comic strip printed in a newspaper. And you're probably like, "Ooh, what was it?" Don't get too hype, everybody. Um, the first comic strip was a comic strip called The Yellow Kid. It says it appeared in North America in the late 19th century. The Yellow Kid um, is usually created as one of the first newspaper strips. However, the art form combining words and pictures developed gradually, and there are many examples which led up to the comic strip. And it's literally a little boy, or I'm not sure if it's a boy or a girl. It looks like a little boy. And he's wearing a big yellow shirt. And it looks like each comic strip, his shirt says something different on it. But I didn't do too much digging into this comic strip. But I just want to let everyone know that this was the premiere, everybody. And then there was obviously still to today, because the newspaper is still a thing, apparently. But there are still comic strips inside of newspapers till this day. So this was the launcher, Doug.
All right.
What was yours?
So on this day in 1920, the last, as of this recording, the last triple header in Major League Baseball history was played between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Cincinnati Reds.
Really? Okay.
And it basically came down to, pardon me, Pittsburgh wanting to finish out its schedule, to try to salvage a little bit of pride, considering that they entered the season as defending champions and kind of stumbled, and they weren't in postseason contention, and a couple bad breaks here and there. They were going to finish. They were going to finish in last place. There are 3.5 games behind the Reds, and there was rain.
That's never good on a baseball game.
And you're trying to finish out the schedule, and it's like, well,
Did they have lights at this point at the stadium, Doug?
Not in 1920, no.
Okay.
So you're also dealing with a bit of curfew as well. So yeah, basically the Pirates owner basically, in a roundabout way, called the Reds owner a chicken. Basically, he's like, "Oh, I bet you don't want to play 3 games." I don't know if it was tomorrow or whatever. The article that I'm reading isn't exactly clear. And the Reds owner was basically like the 1920s version of Bet. And
nobody's going to call me chicken.
It didn't really matter in the long run because trying to get the scores of these games. So Cincinnati would win the first 2 games, 13-4 and 7-3, before Pittsburgh was able to salvage the finale 6-0. So you're talking 27 innings of baseball in a 1-day stretch. So
that's a lot.
I would imagine, and I'm going to try to figure this out, because obviously in modern baseball you can do a doubleheader. You can have the first game at noon, and then you can have a break for dinner or something, and then you can come back and you can play the second game at 7. but I'm trying to figure out
What
when
times they played?
I don't really need the whole thing. I just want to know when they started.
It was probably morning, afternoon, evening.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you don't usually hear a lot about the first game was at 10:30 in the morning. Yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
which is a rarity. I mean, you would never hear about a game before
Noon.
11:30. There's a few games that go on at like 11:30 on the East Coast,
Okay.
but that's about as early as you get it.
All right. Well, thank you, Doug.
All right.
All right. So, everybody, it's time to jump into this week's episode. This episode might end up being a little bit on the shorter side because there really isn't too much context to this episode, which was kind of the reason that they were pumping these episodes out almost on a daily up until the Pokemon League. But all right, let's go ahead and jump on in. So we start this week's episode with a look over Pallet Town. And of course, it's time to go to the beach. And we see this lady waving everybody out to get onto this bus. And Ash comes running out of the house and he sees Misty, Brock, he sees his mom. He's like, what's going on here? And Misty's basically like, oh, didn't I tell you? We're going to the beach.
Because we're not training for the Pokemon League.
Oh, no, it wasn't Misty. It was his mom. His mom said, oh, I forgot to tell you. Yeah, we're going to Seafoam Island. We're going to go over to the beach because why not? It's going to be nice.
Yeah, but then Misty throws in a nice little jest. She's like, I'll bring you back a seashell.
Yeah. And Ash is like, oh, cool. We're going to get ready to go to the beach. And they're like, nah, you're not. You have to stay here, Ash. You have to train for the Pokemon League. You've taken too many days off. And Ash is like, oh, I guess you're right.
Damn it.
And then we literally go from that to everybody leaving out on the bus, just waving at Ash, just complete assholes. Just like, bye, Ash, have fun training. We'll be at the beach.
And Ash is sitting there with Pikachu, and Mr. Mime comes by and literally sweeps us into
the title
screen.
You want to go over, Doug, the scene at Professor Oak's?
So, we are at Professor Oak's lab. Nice little windmill. And Professor Oak is in front of this big old honking computer. And
they didn't make laptops then.
Absolutely not. And he is in agony over this problem that he's working on. And Ash, in complete shirking of his training and all his responsibility, pops in basically like the annoying neighbor in the sitcom. Hey, Professor, what you doing?
Shouldn't you be out training? I'm joking. That's not what he said, everybody.
That's what he should have said.
He should have said it.
Because it's gotten around.
It's a small town. But
and I would imagine his mom just has like no filter.
I would guess not. Especially, I think her and Professor Oak are knocking boots, but that's just a theory. They're always together. Always.
Well, there's not a lot of men.
There's not. So, but yeah, he's sitting at this computer. He's, as you said, Doug, he's in agony because he can't figure out why Slowpoke becomes Slowbro. And he's like, you take a Shelter and you take a Slowpoke, and Shelter clamps onto Slowpoke's tail, and then he evolves into a Slowbro. And then Shelter gets a little turns into a whole different type of shell Pokemon. And he's like, I can't understand this, Doug.
And Ash is like, well, I mean, you could do what I do 18 times an episode and just ask Dexter. Hulk is like, Dexter doesn't even have the answers, which is saying something considering that he programs Dexter as it is.
Exactly. But we find out in this episode, he's not the only one behind Dexter.
This is true. That's a fair point. That is a fair point.
Because this whole time, Professor Oak has been painted as the person that has created the Pokédex. It's been said numerous times. It seems like Professor Oak has taken all of. You know what? I think there's a story deeper than this, Doug. And I'm gonna say it now, only because it doesn't really get solved in this episode. But I think there's some beef between the other professor and this Professor Oak.
You mean like competitive, like competitive beef kind of thing?
No, I'm gonna say that. All right. So, because how hard is it to pick up a telephone, right? I think Professor Oak maybe he took all the credit for the Pokédex and didn't really share the popularity with the other professor. Because how hard would it have been for Professor Oak to go over to Seafoam Island or to pick up the telephone and to try to figure out what's going on? Why did he have to send Ash over there?
Well, I don't think he had to send Ash. I think Ash was just looking for any opportunity to not train or sit at the house.
For real. He got lazy, everybody. But
got lazy, he's been lazy, however you want to slice it.
So, but yeah, he says that Professor Westwood is the other professor, and that Professor Westwood programmed the Pokédex, and he has entries in about Slowpoke and Slowbro, so maybe he will have the answer. So Ash, why don't you go over there and ask him for me? And Ash was like, oh, okay. You're telling me not to train. I'm not going to train. Let's go over there. Isn't that where Misty and Brock are? Aren't they at the beach? Okay, Pikachu, let's go.
Mr. Mime sucks.
Yeah.
Because Ash and Pikachu run right by Mr. Mime, and Mr. Mime has every capability in the world of throwing up a force field and not letting him go.
Haven't we been told that force field, that mirror attack, doesn't last forever?
It might not last forever, but it could last until it's dark.
Then Ash's mom and Misty and Brock can't get back into the house, and Mr.
Well,
Mime's
no, but he would take it. No, but see,
he could take it down.
He could take it down right before they got home.
You're right. Well, we remember Mr. Mime doesn't like doing anything besides cleaning, because God forbid it has to do an attack, because when it was in the circus, it got ran dry.
Right, but he doesn't like Ash, so anything to piss him off a little further, you see.
Yeah, I get you. I'm fully there with you.
And I mean, quite frankly, we're just lucky that Mr. Mime can't talk other than his name. Otherwise, he'd be on the phone snitching.
This will be a whole nother Pokemon episode rated TVMA. So, Ash heads over to Seafoam Island in this next scene. Bright sunny beach. Ash walks over onto the sand.
In his jeans, and his sneakers, and his jacket. This motherfucker's hot.
Yeah, for real. And he looks at Misty and Brock, and they're windsurfing and just having a ball. And they see Ash up on the shore, and they're like, "Isn't Ash supposed to be training?" And Misty replies by going, "I knew he wasn't going to get anything done today. He's just going to keep slacking off." And Ash kind of tells Misty and Brock while they're windsurfing, "I'm going to visit Professor Westwood for Professor Oak." And Brock is like, "Isn't he the one that program the Pokédex.
Awful convenient for him to know that.
I know, right? and and he's like, "All right, we'll meet you over there. We'll come with you." So obviously, I mean, right after that, Ash ruins Brock and Misty's beach day, so they can start traveling up to Professor Westwood. Doug?
Right. So they go there. They walk right up to the front gate. There's no guard. It's just a professor on a hill, kind of like Professor Oak, and they walk right up to the front door, ring the bell, and Westwood welcomes them in without much other than, "Oh, hey, how you doing?"
Professor Oak told me your lazy ass was coming.
See, so they can get on the phone. So they could have a conversation, you see.
Yeah, for real.
But like I say, Ash just didn't want to do diddly. And he was like, "Oh, he basically, oh, you need to run to the store? I can run to the store."
What do you need? Apples, bananas?
Both? Why not both? Let's have a fruit salad. And so Westwood is giving them a brief tour, and kind of explaining the lineage of the Westwood name, and this is when we come to
pictures on the wall.
Pictures on the wall, and it's 4 identical pictures of Westwoods 1 through 4.
And he's Westwood number 5.
And he's got this, his hair is slicked back in his portrait, and he's got a rose in his mouth, and he goes, "That one's me, Westwood the 5th.
Sorry.
You could tell that he had everything to do with what went into his painting, because he's looking all suave and distinguished. And he goes, "That one's me," and he's prouder than a pig in shit.
And Ash looks right at that painting and goes, that one's a little abstract. And Professor Westwood kind of coughs, and he's like, well, you see, I came from a long line of Pokemon researchers, but that's not why you're here. Oh, hey, a Togepi, just fully changing the the topic that they were on about him, because Professor Westwood has never seen a Togepi up close in person before. So he glances over at Misty, and Misty's like, "Yeah, this is Togepi. Isn't it cute?" Because we still don't know if Togepi is a boy or a girl.
I imagine only a handful of people have actually legitimately seen Togepi.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously Ash and Brock and Misty. Team Rocket have at least seen it.
You know what I kind of wonder about Togepi, and this is us trying to make the episode a little bit more entertaining for you guys, everyone. But
while you're trying not to die on the other end.
How did Togepi end up at that prehistoric landmark? And just me knowing that Togepi later on in the series, Togepi gets its own episode of its own lineage and all of that. How the hell did that egg land all the way over in Kanto in that prehistoric landmark? Like, I just don't get it. It was never answered. And even to this day, like, Togepi doesn't even, Togetic and Togekiss, they don't even belong in the Kanto region at all. Like, there's a whole thing where Togepi, Togekiss, and Togetic, they're all a part of this other region later on, and they're mystical Pokemon. They all live together. So one of the Togetic or Togekiss dropped their damn egg just being somewhere it shouldn't have been. So,
well, plot convenience. It's a kid's cartoon.
But yeah, after Westwood talks to Togepi and starts taking down some notes for a future Pokedex entry. Um, he starts talking about all his books and that basically when it comes down to the Pokédex, he kind of lies on some of the entries. Is what he ends up telling Misty and Brock. Because he's like, all of these entries, he's like, for what I don't know, the rest of it is kind of fictional. And Misty's like, so you kind of make it up. And he's like, well, kind of.
I guess if you want to use layman terms, yeah, because he's like, I try to create fictional, like, trying to dress it up, and he's like, I try to use fictional accounts, and Misty basically just calls him right on his bullshit. Oh, you're making shit up. And Westwood's caught. He's like, yeah, I suppose.
Misty's telling Ash, so don't pull out Dexter every time you see a Pokemon now, because half of these entries aren't true.
And then Westwood is so embarrassed, so he runs over to his portraits and he apologizes. He apologizes to all 5 of them, and then obviously when he gets to the 5th one, he goes, "Oh right, that's me."
And Brock is like, Ash is like, I think he's kind of crazy, and Brock's like, I think it's hereditary. I think he got the wittiness from Westwood 1 through 4.
Passed down through 4 generations.
For real. But it's at this moment that we finally get into the meat and potatoes of this episode, where he looks out the window and he sees a lonely Slowpoke. I'm guessing this Slowpoke is his.
Has to be.
Yeah. Because no one's allowed to capture this Slowpoke. But Slowpoke is sitting outside of a rock and it's looking out into the ocean. And they're basically going over. He's like, but there's one thing that I can't seem to figure out, and that's how Slowpoke becomes a Slowbro. So I've been sitting here watching this Slowpoke for days, and he goes fishing, and he can't seem to catch a shelter. So I can see it evolve, because apparently watching a Slowpoke evolve into a Slowbro is a rare occurrence.
Right. So here's my concern. Well, not my concern. My confusion again.
Okay.
So Oak and Westwood are currently having the same problem, the same concerns, the same, conundrum, whatever you want to fucking call it.
Yes.
We know that video calls exist. Why the hell I understand that Oak didn't send Ash. Ash volunteered because he didn't want to stay at home and train. But True. Why are these two not having daily calls that are being recorded and sharing notes and sending files over and collaborating on this piece of research? Why is it down to Ash and Brock? Well, Ash and then by extension Brock and Misty to solve this problem.
Because professors are lazy. I'm joking, everybody.
I don't think Westwood's lazy. I mean, we saw how involved he was in making that portrait. And we see that he's out here with a fishing pole and a notebook watching Slowpoke fish. I mean, I understand it's a kid's cartoon, right? We need to have some reason for Ash and then obviously Brock and Misty to be the center of a situation.
Yes.
Right. Even though it's baffling because we're also reviewing a segment of Pokemon where Ash and his group and Team Rocket are existing in the same space but on completely different planets almost.
Yes.
Because, I mean, when was the last time Ash interacted with Team Rocket in Black and White?
He hasn't yet. Not one episode.
Exactly. Well,
He hasn't.
The beginning, maybe.
Well, that wasn't really. Well, Team Rocket got blown away by Zekrom before he could even interact with him.
True. So yeah, I mean, and the only reason I bring up Team Rocket is because they're about to fucking pop in here.
Yes.
But yeah, it bothers it bothers me that Oak and Westwood aren't having daily conversations. What did you find out today? Nothing. He went fishing for 3 hours and only caught a couple of magic carp.
So, hey, it's better than what other people do. People go fishing all day and don't catch one thing, but Slowpoke is just patient.
I don't think fishing is to catch. I think fishing is to get away.
Yes, I think so too.
I need to get away from the wife. I'm gonna go sit on the lake for 3 hours.
Hey, you're giving away my secret. Stop it, Doug. Stop it. I'm a huge fisher. I love fishing.
Fuck.
So, but yeah, they're outside talking right next to Slowpoke, and they're watching it. And then all of a sudden, Psyduck comes out of Misty's Pokeball. And Misty jumps down, and she's like, "Oh, Psyduck, Slowpoke has the same motionless expression as you do. Why don't you go over and talk to it?" So Slowpoke goes over, and Pikachu's right in the middle, and then you get you see Slowpoke go, "Sigh," or no, I'm sorry. He's like slow, and Sonic's like sigh, slow, sigh, slow, and Pikachu's bobbing its head back and forth like, what the is this really happening? And Ash is like, I bet that is the most intelligent conversation. and and Misty gets all mad, and Psyduck is like, Psyduck, and Slowpoke is like, Slowpoke, and then they each get question marks around each other's face. And it comes to find out that they're possibly just say hello to each other over and over again until one of them just stops. Hello.
And the only reason all this stops is because we get a rogue Krabby that pops out of the water and snips both of their tails.
This Krabby was just an asshole. He's like,
this Krabby moved the plot. If this Krabby wasn't here, we'd still be sitting here watching them say hello.
Just comes out, just pinch. But the thing is, freaking Slowpoke didn't even react to it.
Or Psyduck, for that matter.
Well, no. Psyduck was like 5 seconds too late. Because all of a sudden, just Psyduck just goes, but freaking Krabby already has jumped back into the water and was like, all right, I did my job. And then after Psyduck is like, it just stops and just puts his hands back on his head. It's like, sigh.
Like, that was inconvenient, but I'm okay now.
Misty sat there and was like, I guess it takes a while for the pain to get up to that little tiny brain.
Poor Psyduck. Just trying to live its life, man. For goodness sake.
For real. Like, freaking... I feel like Psyduck would live its best life if it wasn't with Misty. Like, I really truly feel Psyduck would just be laid back on a beach somewhere just kicking it. Like, not a care in the world. But
they're catching fish.
But then after all of that, Slowpoke finally gets a bite in front of Ash and Professor Westwood, but it's not a shelter. It's another Magikarp, and Slowpoke takes the Magikarp and just waves it right back into the water. And
Westwood says the fishing has made him hungry and says they should have lunch. And then we are smash cut to Giovanni
And it's Persian.
and his Persian hanging out on a beach.
And from here, he's just laid back on the beach, just having the time of his life. He's like, I'm having the time of my life. Since the Team Rocket headquarters was destroyed. But you know what? This is the life. And he freaking rubs Persian's head, Persian purrs, and we get Meowth looking at it from a distance, and he's crying because he wants to be Giovanni's pet, but he can't. And Team Rocket's over there lollygagging, and they're literally digging a hole with what are those, Doug?
Little children's toys.
Yeah, like little children's like shovels.
Freaking the rakes you use to God, there's a word that I can't think of.
I'm just gonna call it a shovel and pail.
To rake your garden, basically.
Yes.
Little teeny tiny, and James gets frustrated and he just starts just slapping things around and just fuck this and this and then the other, and he hits something solid and he pulls it out with all his might and he flings it up in the air and we find out that it's a Sheldon or a Shelder.
Yes.
And
Shelder goes flying into the air, and James looks at it and he's like, I'm gonna battle it. So of course he sends out his Weezing, and Weezing goes over and demolishes this Shelter. And then after he demolishes this Shelter, freaking Jessie comes out with her Pokeball and goes, I'm gonna catch it. And
yeah, because freaking she wasn't all that interested. Then she saw the Shelter use Ice Beam and she's like, oh. And like you said, once Weezing was able to disorient the Shelter with Smokescreen, Jessie basically cuts the line and catches this stupid thing.
And James is like, that wasn't fair.
Poor James, just a big old cuck.
And from there, we get Giovanni's assistant makes an appearance, and he's like, Giovanni would like to see you now. And they're like, oh, okay. So they walk over to Giovanni, and Giovanni gives him the ringer. He's like, I'm tired of seeing you guys lollygag and making Team Rocket look completely pathetic. What I want you to do is I want you to go over to Professor Westwood's laboratory right over the hill over there, and he has a bunch of information that would be useful to Team Rocket, and I need you to go there and steal any Pokemon or any information that's over there. And let me just tell you that if you fail at this, you don't want to fail at this. So do and freaking Meowth is over there trying to eat Persian's or drink Persian's milk, and Persian's just being an asshole and is like, no, you're not drinking my milk.
And and Team Rocket's like, oh, don't worry, breaking into laboratories is our specialty. And then then we get the Who's That Pokemon, and if you could explain to me why it's Raichu, I would be thrilled.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you because Raichu's not even in the next episode, so right. I have no idea. They ran out of Pokemon. I'm joking.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
It could have been Shelter. It could have been Slowbro. It could have been Slowpoke. It could have been anyone, but
could have been Persian.
For real, it could have been Togepi for all we know.
Could have been Togepi.
So, but yeah, we come back from the Who's That Pokemon. You want to go over this part, Doug, real quick?
So we're having lunch, and Westwood is explaining the Slowpoke Slowbro thing again, and Misty is still not getting it, and Westwood pulls out a laptop.
Oh,
I'm sitting. I'm all kind.
I'm
So
all
I'm
sorts
all
of
kinds
fucked
of
up.
fucked up now. I just this is over. Like I don't understand anything anymore. I don't know what's real. I don't know.
We just said at the beginning of this episode, oh, they must not have laptops. But apparently they do.
And he's got this computer animated thing that basically shows a shelter clamping onto a slowpoke and the slowpoke becoming a slowbro and the shelter becoming a spiral shelter. And Westwood says if I solve this conundrum, I'll go down in history as a prolific researcher. And
And he'll make all of the other Westwoods happy.
right. And then everybody gets distracted by a parasailer. But then, of course, because it's halfway through the episode, we find out that it's Team Rocket on a triple decker. And of course, because it's Team Rocket, they crash land and they get tangled up in their parachute and they do the motto muffled under the weight of the parachute, and they finally get free, and we get the meow that's right, and
we get Professor Westwood. He kind of just freaks out at this, and then Jesse and James now want to be a part of his book or to be an entry in a Pokédex. So when people come up to them, the Pokédex will recognize them as James, the handsome one, and Jesse, the brilliant one, and Professor Westwood is taking notes down, basically pretending like he'll put them in the Pokédex. But
no, he didn't. They came with notes.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Jesse handed him a piece of paper. Is like,
here, read this, and Professor West was like, "Oh, these are some really good notes." And
just frickin' Misty has to pop into frame and go, "Don't be listening to this bunk." And it triggers something in Westwood because he's like, "They're gonna kidnap me and make me work for them and make me their slave," and he goes running to
the beach because Slowpoke has walked in, and it's at that point they're like, "Oh, well, Giovanni did say come back with a Pokemon. There's a Pokemon. I have a shelter. I can make this Slowpoke evolve, and I can have a really strong Pokemon." So Professor West was like, "Well, fuck that." And he picks up Slowpoke, and Slowpoke must be heavy as shit. But he storms out of his laboratory and gets out onto the beach and then just falls. And then Slowpoke just goes, Slowpoke, poke, 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 poke. And Slowpoke, it takes about 10 minutes for Slowpoke to register that he was just thrown. So Slowpoke is still happy thinking he's being carried. So Jessie's over here and she takes out her Pokeball and throws out Shelter. And this is when your nickname comes into play because Slowpoke looks back and he's like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
And Shelter is like, "Oh yay." So Shelter starts chasing Slowpoke. Slowpoke starts fucking running. And we get the running joke of, isn't Slowpoke supposed to be slow? And they're like, "That's the fastest Slowpoke I've ever seen."
He's motivated. So Jesse is aware that if Shelter bites the Slowpoke, it becomes a Slowbro, which, as you stated, it makes it more valuable to steal.
Yes.
So Jesse is encouraging the chase, and Ash is telling him to knock it off, and Misty is going to jump in to help, but then Psyduck pops out of the bag again, and the Shelter bounces right off of Psyduck, and then we get more of the hello conversation.
And freaking Shelter then goes over and clamps on top of Psyduck.
And nothing.
Nothing.
Other than Psyduck going, shit.
and freaking Ash is like, oh, it's gonna become a Slowbro.
Yes.
I was dying.
It's on the floor.
And Misty's like, I've never heard of a Slowbro, and Brock is like, that's because that's not a thing.
Brock's a party pooper.
I know. And Jessie's getting all pissed off, and she's like, get off of that dumb Pokemon and get on the Slowpoke. And it's at this point, Psyduck, it again takes about 30 seconds for it to notice that something is on its tail. And we actually get the little steam go from its tail up to its brain to show that that's when it's indicated that, ouch, this hurts. So Psyduck starts running around the beach, and Slowpoke is just like, Slowpoke.
And Psyduck ends up flinging the shelter into the sun, and Ash has a good line of, he's like, I made up that Slowbro thing, just, to put a period on it. And Weezing comes out, and he's bouncing like a volleyball on Psyduck's head.
James said, make sure that Psyduck gets permanently quacked up.
Jessie literally wings the shelter, and it ends up clamping on Psyduck's head.
Yes. So it's at this point now, again, Jessie's like, oh, this is nothing but dumb luck. And Psyduck's now just flipping shit. Like, he's like, what the fuck? He's like, I'm getting my tail pinched. I'm getting my tail bitten. Now I'm getting my head bitten. He's like, what the hell? And it's at this point now where we all know that Psyduck, when Psyduck gets a headache big enough, it starts using its psychic powers. And Misty's like, oh, yeah, I think he's about to get his psychic power on. And Psyduck is pushing Shelter off of its head, and it's getting ready to start using psychic. Doug?
Yes, and, Westwood doesn't miss an opportunity to take notes. So he's like watching it happen. And then as soon as it's over, and as soon as Team Rocket gets caught up and blasts off, as soon as it, that whole thing, and it's this big blast of energy, and Team Rocket goes blasting to the horizon, minus Shelter, and that's crucial. It's over, and Psyduck's like, oh, that was interesting, and the poor Shelter comes bouncing down off of Psyduck's head. Slowpoke comes over to check on Psyduck, question mark.
Yeah, but it
slips on the shell
and falls on its face right in front of Shelter.
Ends up with its tail in the air, and this is when we finally get the clamp motion.
Yes. And once it clamps down, Slowpoke evolves into a Slowbro, and Professor Westwood is losing its shit, and everybody is looking around, and Professor Westwood is like, I am the first person to ever witness a Slowpoke evolving into a Slowbro, which I find that hard to believe, because how would they have known that it was a Shelter that clamps onto a Slowpoke's tail? But that's neither here nor there. It's a kid's show. But
that's a fair point.
Yeah. So he's taking all the notes in the world, and everybody is oohing and awing over Slowbro. And Team Rocket didn't get flung that far, because they're now trying to come back after Slowbro, because that was Jessie's Shelter that was on the Slowpoke. So in her mind, it's 50% hers, which is she right?
I mean, isn't she? I mean,
a little bit.
It's her Slowpoke or her Shelter, and it's the Professor's Slowpoke. One, the Slowpoke,
Slowbro.
the Slowbro can't happen without each of them.
Exactly.
I mean, obviously, in an ideal scenario, a trainer owns both Pokemon and basically just goes, "Go on, bite them."
But it's at this point that Professor Westwood looks over at Slowbro, and he's like, "Slowbro, go after these nun skulls." And what does he tell him to do? Mega Punch?
Mega Punch.
Yes. He's like it's Slowbro's greatest attack. It's called Mega Punch. Slowbro, Mega Punch him. So Slowbro doesn't do it right away because Slowbro is suffering from its greatest weakness of its own attack, amnesia.
Amnesia, which is just wonderful.
I know. But right before Team Rocket gets over there, Slowbro knocks out of its amnesia, and it goes over and does its Mega Punch. Team Rocket is now blasting off again. We don't know what happens to Team Rocket since they didn't come back with a Pokemon with Giovanni. That happened off screen because you can't show that on a kids show. So Team Rocket goes blasting off, and Professor Westwood finally gives his analogy of what happens when a Slowpoke gets bitten by a Shelter, because he's all smart and stuff now, and he got to see it right up close. And then we literally shoot from that to the sunset, and it's the end of the day, and we're sending our heroes back off on their journey. Well, Ash's journey to train for this Pokemon League, which he still has yet to do.
So, theoretically, pardon me, they're going home to Pallet.
Yes.
But they're not.
No. They are not.
As we find out next week. So, once again, Ash Ketchum will do anything to not have to train, which I don't understand. I mean, and granted, he's got the 8 badges, and obviously we've established he got 2 of them out of pity.
Well, he got a lot of them out of pity.
Well, fair point. Well,
let's be real.
Well, yeah, I guess you're right. He got okay. Let's be generous and say he got about half of them out of pity. But like, he's a good trainer, right? Like,
yeah,
he's not like Joe Schmo off the street. I mean, but yeah, I guess a little commitment wouldn't hurt him. But like, it's not like he's like putting off like studying for a test. It's just a matter of, okay, can your Pokemon survive more than 4 or 5 hits in a battle? You know, like what does training entail? Like,
he has to make his Pokemon extra strong because he's about to go up against the best of the best, Doug. And me and you both know from Pokemon Red and Blue, if your Pokemon ain't strong, you ain't surviving that Indigo Plateau.
That's true. That is very true.
But we do end this episode because Psyduck is sad that it's leaving its friend. So Psyduck talks the gang into going back to saying goodbye to Slowbro, and we get the good old long-winded goodbye. And that's how we end this week's episode. How do you like this episode, Doug? Review.
You know, it's funny. I had more fun reviewing it than I did watching it.
We say that a lot, don't we?
Well, right. So yeah, I mean, it was funny. It's I like Westwood. Um, the focus of the episode, like, oh, how does Slowpoke evolve, is an interesting topic. Um, the whole explanation about it allows it to stand upright, and the bigger shell gives it balance. I mean, it was well thought out.
Yeah, it was a well thought out episode.
I don't think it really could stand up to 22 minutes, but
So, what would you give it on your Doug-O-meter scale?
oh, probably like a 2.5.
Okay.
I mean, because like nothing happened. Like you know, Ash didn't leave with a Pokemon. Um, like
We did
nobody.
find out who the real producer of this Pokédex is.
We did. We did. I mean, that doesn't change anything going forward.
No,
I mean, it's not like.
he never comes back, everybody.
Well, right. So it's like, it's not like every time we pull out Dexter, we get Westwood's voice now.
So what are you gonna give it?
Probably about a 2.5.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna be in the same boat with you. I'm gonna give it about a 2.5. I feel like we made the episode a little funnier than what it was. Hopefully you all laughed out there, since this was kind of a filler week. But
And if you didn't laugh, then
but all right, everybody. It's time to open up some Pokemon packs. So, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm just gonna open both of these, and then I'm gonna say what cards are. Again, these are Pokemon Train On Celebration packs. All right, there's one. Ooh, okay, white card. Good. Let's get this one. This one don't want to. Oh, there we go. All right. Okay. Let's go. So no energy, Doug. In these packs, you don't get energies. You just get
I
force.
suppose not. Yeah.
All right. So this first pack is I have a Xerneas, a Cosmoem, a Zekrom, and a Shiny Professor's Research. Okay, I remember the Professor's Research card. All right. I'll give that one a win. I like it. It says discard your hand and draw 7 cards. Good card.
All right.
All right, and then the second one, the second bunch, I have a Lugia, a Cosmog. Holy shit! All right, I got a shiny Venusaur. All right, so one of the 3 that I need. All right, good stuff. And then I got a full art Surfing Pikachu V. So, all right, win-win, Doug, win-win.
Look at that.
So next week, I will be opening 2 more packs. So we will see what we end up getting in those. But all right. Do you have anything else to add, Doug?
No, I don't think so. I think we've accomplished what we needed to accomplish.
All right, sounds good. Then say your goodbye, Doug.
Goodbye, Doug.
And this is Wrestling Chris G telling all of you, do not miss next week's episode, because next week's episode is again Ash not training again. But he's gonna be surfing. Oh, hey, I should have gotten this Surfing Pikachu on next week's episode. It would have gone right with the episode. But next week's episode is the Pukahana, everybody. So don't miss next week's episode. So I will see you then. Have a good night, and I will see you. This is another slow. This is my Slowpoke ending, just long and drawn out. Have a good night, everybody.